Hey, what's good, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing. We're going to continue with the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We're going to take a look at a couple of welterweights. For starters, we're going to take a look at Vergil Akins, welterweight champion of the world. Let's take a look at his career. Now, in 1958, Vergil Akins had his first shot at a welterweight championship bout by facing Vince Martinez when Carmen Basilio relinquished the title in 57 when he went chasing Sugar Ray Robinson for the middleweight crown. So let's take a look at Vergil Akins to see how all this got started. Born St. Louis, Missouri, March 10th, 1928, 5'9", began his professional boxing career in 1948 as a lightweight and fought into the division with success until 1954, when he grew into the welterweight class. Had always been rated a good fighter, but was an in and out until late in 1957. His best string of victories was in 1954 and 1955, when he went 9 fights without a loss. A hard punishing, hitting, and powerful in both hands, both his left hooks and right, which he used effectively, either as an uppercut or a straight cross. Vergil holds victories over former lightweight champion Joe Brown, whom he defeated in 10 rounds in St. Louis on December 6, 1951. He also has defeats former lightweight champion Wallace Bud Smith twice in 1951. On May 2nd, 1955, in the St. Nicholas Club in New York City, he knocked out Ronnie Delaney in the 8th round and snapped Delaney's undefeated streak of 46 straight. Won the vacant world welterweight title by knocking out Vince Martinez in the final elimination bout after previously KOing Tony DeMarco twice, and Isaac Logart in St. Louis. On December 5th, 1958, he lost the title to Don Jordan by decision in 15 rounds in Los Angeles, California. In a return bout in St. Louis, April 24th, 1959, Akins again lost the decision in a 15 rounds. He continued to box through 1961, but retired in 1962 due to an injured eye. Now we're going to take a look at that Vergil Akins Don Jordan fight. Let's take a look at a couple of opponents that Vergil Akins had and how he was able to get that fight with Don Jordan. 1948, he defeated Albert Adams, March 11th, with a 6-round victory. April 5th, Charles Baxter, St. Louis, he was KO'd by him, but then he came back April 21st and revenged that loss in St. Louis with a 6-round victory. November 23rd, Danny Robinson in St. Louis. He was able to get a 6-round victory there. Now, 1949, January 17th, Joe Henderson. Now, he was a good fighter, a very good test for Vergil Akins. St. Louis, he KO'd him in 3 rounds. And he continued to do this. Art Persley was a very good fighter. September 29th, in New York, 6-round loss. 1950, he had about 6 very good fights. 2 he lost, but When you're moving up in class from lightweight to welterweight, you're going to run into some stumbling blocks. 1951, January 18, Gene Parker, Minneapolis. He lost a 6-round decision, I should say. April 4th and April 17th, he defeated Wallace Bud Smith in St. Louis. 10-round victories. May 25th, Joe Brown, New Orleans. He lost 10 rounds to him. Tommy Campbell was a very, very good fighter. An outstanding fighter. Look up Tommy Campbell. June 8th, New Orleans. He defeated him in 10 rounds. That was an outstanding win for him. July 6th, Joe Brown, New Orleans. Lost 10 rounds. Freddie Dawson, September 26th, St. Louis. He defeated him in 10 rounds. October 17th, Lucia Rawlings, St. Louis. Defeated him in 10 rounds. December 6th, Joe Brown, St. Louis. Defeated him in 10 rounds. December 14th, Luther Rawlings in New York. He lost in 8 rounds. Now, that string of fights in 1951, you're not going to find that today. With the caliber of opponents that he fought, you're not going to find that today. Fighters don't do that anymore. They just don't. And that's the reason why, this is different eras. These were fighters back then. 1952. You got about a 4 string of KOs until he met Johnny Saxton, July 30th in Chicago. He lost in 10 rounds. September 30th, Joe Maselli in Milwaukee. He lost in 10 rounds. 1953, Johnny Gonzalez. Very good fighter. Chicago, lost in 10 rounds. 54, he fought Henry Hank. October 26th, he won in 8 rounds. Good fighter. 55, he fought names like Johnny Brown, Tommy Maddox, Johnny Brown again, Ronnie Delaney, Joe Maselli, Harold Jones, Izzy Logart. 56, Rudolph Bent. Clarence Cook. Matter of fact, Rudolph Bent, that was Sugar Ray Robinson's last opponent before he retired. 45. Mel Baker. Andy Watkins. Hector Constance. Don Jose. Charlie Sawyer. Pat Lowry. In 1958, January 21st, he fought Tony DeMarco in Boston. Knocked him out in 12 rounds. Now that's impressive, because Tony DeMarco had wars with Carmen Basilio, and Tony DeMarco was a world welterweight champion. March 21st, Izzy Logart, New York, KO'd him in 6 rounds. Welterweight elimination bout. June 6th, Vince Martinez, St. Louis, KO'd him in 4 rounds and won the vacant world welterweight title. September 18th, Del Flanagan, St. Paul. He lost in 10 rounds. December 5th, Don Jordan, Los Angeles, lost 15 rounds and lost his world welterweight title. So let's take a look at that. First, let's take a look at Don Jordan. He's from Los Angeles, California. He held the title April 24th, 1959. 1959 to May 27th, 1960. So here's the tail of the tape of that fight. Don Jordan, 24, Akins 30. The weight was 142.5 for Jordan, 146.5 for Akins. Height, 5'9" inches for Jordan, 5'9" inches for Akins. 70 inches reach for Jordan, 73 inches reach for Akins. Let's take a look at another fight we're going to examine as well with Don Jordan. Benny Perret. The age of Jordan was 25. Perret was 23. Weight for Jordan 147. Perret 147. Height for Jordan 5'9". Perret 5'7.5". Reach for Jordan 70 inches. Reach for Perret 69 inches. Let's take a look at that fight. Now, Jordan Akins' bout. This was a very, 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 very tough fight for these young men. Very, very tough fight. We already went over the tail of the tape. Let's take a look at some action shots. It's Don Jordan catching a right hand from Vergil Akins. Jordan welterweight champion. Both men look terribly battered. Jordan is the new welterweight king. Based on this photo, easy to pick a winner. It says Vergil Akins lost his welterweight title last night and took a pretty good beating, severe beating in the process. On the right, you got a happier winner and a new champion, Don Jordan of Los Angeles. Here you have Vergil Akins and Vince Martinez. This was for the elimination bout from the belt that was relinquished from Carmen Basilio when he went up to face Sugar Ray Robinson for the middleweight crown. 1958, Basilio went up in 57 to face Robinson. And that's when they started the elimination bout. Isaac Logart was in that tournament. Vergil Akins, Vince Martinez, Don Jordan. And this is Vergil Akins when he stopped Isaac Logart. 2 minutes and 53 seconds in the 6th round. And that's what led him to the fight with Vince Martinez. And see, the problem today, they don't have tournaments anymore. And you would eliminate a lot of this nonsense that's going on today. You really should only have one champion. Vergil Akins dropping Tony DeMarco with a wicked left uppercut. Akins dropping Isaac Lugard. Here you have Don Jordan taking it to Benny Kid-Perret. This is all part of that tournament. And the last man standing was Don Jordan. And Jordan injures right jab. Akins bloody, keeps title. Jordan outpoints Akins. Salute to these welterweights. Vergil Akins and Don Jordan. Now, Don Jordan loses decision. Robinson fails to show up. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to show you exactly what they're talking about. Candy McFarlane, right, lands a left to the jaw of welterweight champion Don Jordan in the third round of their non-title fight last night. It was a non-title fight because the card was messed up. I'll explain to you what happened. McFarlane won a 10-round decision in the feature bout of what was billed as a doubleheader program. Luckily for Don Jordan, because he lost that fight, he would have lost his title. Sugar Ray Robinson failed to show up for his bout with Pedro Gonzalez. Pedro Gonzalez was an outstanding fighter. Outstanding fighter. And the other featured 10-rounder on that program was canceled. Jordan is scheduled to defend his title against Benny Kid-Perret in Las Vegas on May 27th. So because it was a non-title fight, even though Don Jordan lost the fight, he still had an opportunity to defend it against Benny Kid-Perret. So I think he owes Sugar Ray Robinson a favor. Salute. Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at one of my top 5 featherweight champions of all time, Sandy Sadler. This is a salute to Sandy Sadler. 1926, born Boston, Massachusetts. In 1944, professional debut at the age of 17. 1948, knocked out Willie Pep to win world featherweight title. In 1947, lost rematch with Pep, claimed world junior lightweight title. In 1950, he regained the featherweight crown by beating Pep. In 1957, announced retirement, still undefeated featherweight champion. Now, Pep announced his retirement because he had an eye injury. His career record was 162 fights, 144 victories, 16 losses, and 2 draws. But he retired undefeated as a featherweight champion. Not many men can say that. That's why he's my top 5. I'll even go down to top 3. There's been a lot of great featherweights. Abe Patel, Willie Pep. Salvador Sanchez was a great featherweight, but at a different time. But there's been some great ones. But Sandy Sadler, he's on my top 3 to 5 radar. Salute to Sandy Sadler. Here's a man who had a 70-inch reach. Amazing.